Hello, and welcome to the pilot episode of This Could Be Better, a show where we discuss albums and their problems. I'm going to start with the majority of the Abstracted Records catalog. Hello, cat. But I may eventually move on to normal albums, like albums by people who aren't me. Can I help you? There's a cat down here and she doesn't want to go on my lap. Hi, it's me from the end of the video. I remember that I didn't explain this premise, so now I'm going to explain it before I do the video. So what this series is a lot of the times I get questions from people being like, hey, why do you hate so much of your past albums? And the reason is because I constantly learn and improve, and there's so many areas in which I'm learning and improving, because for a lot of the albums, guitar aside, I'm the one doing the mixing, the mastering, the vocals, the bass, the orchestration, and like the synth and any of the arrangements. And all of those things are different paths, right? Most people just pick one or two of those. I've decided to take on all of them and suck at all of them, except for harsh vocals and orchestration. The rest I'm not very good at. So over time I improve at these things, but I release albums. I continue to release albums, right? So by the time an album's out, I already know I can do better. Like from a musical perspective, from a writing perspective, I already know I'm past it. And that's slowing down now, but that's how it is. So I don't like a lot of those old albums because I was still learning how to do stuff, and not in a cool, experimental, do whatever you want, man. Like, no, it didn't have a direction. It didn't have a sound. It wasn't unified. I hadn't found my voice yet. And so I don't like them. But I'm going to explain specifically why I don't like them. I'm going to go through and just be like, hey, if you're interested, here's how I hear those albums from the perspective of the person who made them, basically. Okay. We're going to start this off with a little old album that's really an EP, but it's kind of an album called Constructs of an Unseen Algorithm by The Design Abstract. Overall, this is probably the record that I'm most proud of creating, just in general, all things considered. For what it is, a kind of deathcore release, it's the best production. Again, I don't think it's better production than Voice-Eyed, but for what it is, it's the best production. I don't know, mastering was pretty good. Ow, fuck, you little shithead. It does have some problems, though. A fair warning, if you like this album, I'm going to be picking it apart, and you're probably going to notice things that you didn't notice before. Welcome to every single day of my life. Clean vocals in this album were a step up from everything that came before it. However, they were inconsistently recorded, and I mostly was able to cover it up, but even between the delivery and the signal chain, they are a little inconsistent. The panning on them, like the presence of them, is kind of different every time they hit. Concerning different songs. Well, no, because even like especially like the worst is the clean vocals in Dissension in the Godhead. The chorus, the layered cleans, those are fine, but the intro cleans and the bridge cleans are kind of completely different, even though they're in a very similar range. I just did them at completely different times with different layering, and like it is what it is, but that could have been better. There's a couple spots where the drums could have sounded better too, I think, just programming wise. Specifically, I'm thinking of the breakdown in Clandestine Vocation. There's that, and like the drums, there's two missing kicks that, again, once you hear it, it's in the bridge when it comes back the second time. There's like two missing kick spots where the guitar does a chug that the kick should be there, and it bothers me. This is what this series is about. Just whenever I listen to an album, how many things bother me, and that thing bothers me. there is that. I think as far as mixing goes, my ears haven't quite got to the point where I hear a ton of problems with it. I know it could be better. I just don't know how. Because if I knew how, then I would just fix it. It is fairly blown out, but not super modern. That's fine. It's not necessarily a problem, I would say. Some of the vocals, particularly in tracks 2 and 3, like in Martyrs and Clandestine, I was utilizing a new vocal tone for the screams. The lows are super low, like a lot more lower resonance than I normally would have done, but still trying to add clarity. And some parts of it just, how do I explain it? In the easiest terms, it needed a layer of vocals that were higher and that were moving more, because they end up sounding monotonous and not in a way that I think sounds good. This episode is definitely going to be the briefest because, like I said, this is pretty as close to perfection as we can do right now. But there are a couple things that it's like, okay, if I would have sat on it for a few months, sure, they would have been fixed, but I wouldn't have been happy. It's fine. It's a great release. There's not that many problems with it. Yeah, that's kind of the kickoff point. Hi. Stopped by in the middle of editing to say a couple things that I missed. I wanted to talk specifically about Antithetic. Out of everything, that's the weakest song on the album. I think that goes without saying, but I thought that it would land better than it did. It was a problem of I had a specific structure in mind, and it just, the structure and the riffs sort of didn't work together. It's by no means a bad song. It's just the weakest on the album, and it's weird. When it comes on, it's like, it's not quite there. And I feel like of everything, it will age the worst. I just wanted to mention that because I think that's one of the things that holds the album from being better than it could be.